The year is 1978. Cocaine is a hell of a drug. Pablo Escobar is out of control. Cops, they don't wear any suits. They just wear floral patterned short sleeves.
And they will beat your ass.
Get the f*** over here! Down on the ground! I swear to God, I know a Cuban who will make you disappear.
Who you calling Jive Turkey?
Wow, that was weak as shit. Dog. Come on, channel your real, channel your real Black Dynamite.
I know. Is it allowed?
You don't have to put it on the podcast.
I thought this is a great start to something. Great start to something new. Something old to something new.
Who the hell are you calling a Jive Turkey? Bro, have you actually ever seen the show, the movie Black Dynamite?
No.
Okay, for all of our kin listening in, do yourself a favor. Watch the cinematic masterpiece and absolute shit show that is Black Dynamite. It was a project born out of passion of someone who just loved the classic 70s low budget, can't afford Al Pacino, so we're going to make something with a lesser known group that definitely has editing errors because we don't have the money to go back and review footage. I mean, there's points in the movie where you can see this boom mic bump someone in the head, and it's so funny. But they intentionally wanted to recreate that because it was made in I want to say 2011, 2012, and it was funded off of Kickstarter. But they shot it on film, and the whole idea was to make something that felt as incoherent, hilariously uncoordinated as the 70s kind of, not cop, because I don't think Black Dynamite's a cop in the show. I think he's just a guy who's out for justice. But kind of set things straight. I'm the law in this, block. And dude, it's so fucking funny. One of my favorite scenes of all time is Black Dynamite just walks into where all these guys are essentially pimps and drug dealers, and they're having a pimp drug dealer meeting, and Black Dynamite's there to essentially kick ass and take names, and he tells them, look, none of y'all didn't be dealing no drugs to the rest of the community. And one of them literally looks to Black Dynamite and is but Black Dynamite, I deal drugs to the community. And it's just it's the most insane, hilarious. By the end of the movie, you're asking yourself, how the f we get here? Because I think he's fighting Nixon by the end of the movie. But it is a phenomenal indie film. There's an animated show. I haven't watched it, but it's Black Dynamite animated on Adult Swim. And I've heard really good things about it. I've heard that it is just as funny. A little too, it leans way more into the sexualization of stuff. The movie, I don't really remember there being a lot of nudity or any nudity.
There's probably a scene with some.
There's definitely some there's definitely some hookers, but they don't have they're not naked. But I can't remember
some disco divas.
Yeah, it was it was so funny, dude. There was this one, his companion and his sidekick is a guy named Bullhorn, who he reconnects with, and Bullhorn's essentially telling him this is the way this shit is now. You know what I mean? Things changed on the block, Black Dynamite, and they go to it and meet these guys, and there's just the most absolutely outrageous. I mean, they just did it so authentically. But essentially, they're busting down this cue ball or billiards hall and bar area. It's it's supposed to be in, I think I would bet that it's supposed to take place in Oakland or something like that in the 70s. And as they go in, Bullhorn, before they fight, right before he fights a guy, he's going over like who he is and why his name's Bullhorn and like rhyming it. He's the guy who only speaks in rhymes because he's just, he's got rhythm and rhyme. And he then swings out and he actually smacks the guy that he's fighting in the face. And the guy's like, he's just like, what the motherfucker? And like you see him go to like actually hit him. Camera cuts, totally different actor. And it's like alluding to the idea of like these like uncomfortable, awkward cuts it takes in these 70s movies where like they didn't have good stunt doubles or choreography and they just would replace people because it was just like, oh shit. And dude, it's so funny. Anyways, check out Black Dynamite, man. I know that's a long rant, long intro.
I like
dude,
it.
Black Dynamite, I think I've watched it 3 or 4 times. Every time it's a riot. It's so funny. Anyways, our kin, folk, welcome to the Mick Pat show. I'm sitting here with Pat. Pat is partaking in the age-old adage of not marijuana through a pipe. Don't be confused when we talk about smoking out of a pipe, but an actual nice, fine, handcrafted wood charcoaled pipe with some good smelling tobacco. What is that? Is that vanilla?
This is a Pirate's Den.
Pirate's Den.
Yeah.
I have had Pirate's Den.
Yeah.
You ever have Dolphin?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, I can't find Dolphin anywhere anymore. I
They
used
stopped it.
to love Dolphin.
Mm-hmm.
I would have a pipe of Dolphin a week.
Mm-hmm.
And it was my favorite, man. But local tobacco shop here stopped carrying it, and I just can't find it anywhere else.
And I bet it's named something else somewhere else. Like you could
It's not.
Like you could find, like you just, no, is that what it's called? Is that like
It's called Dolphin. That's the strain of tobacco. And I had it in Detroit like 2 years ago because it was at a tobacco shop there. And I remember losing my mind.
Yeah.
And this upstanding Detroit citizen looked at me and he's like, oh, yeah, you like Dolphin? And I was like, yes. And he's like, yeah, lots of you motherfuckers like Dolphin. I think by you motherfuckers, I think he meant like white boys wearing glasses. but it was great. It was like the same. It tasted the same as the stuff I used to get here locally. So, anyways, sad story.
It's a long drive for Dolphin.
It was a flight. I didn't drive to Michigan.
But if you like had a hankering,
oh yeah,
whatever it is, it's a long journey.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is too, like, I just feel weird about buying tobacco online. That just feels like a way higher level commitment to tobacco and my addictions than going to the gas station.
Yep, I agree.
But anyways, thanks for joining us, and we hope that you can kind of just sit back, relax, put this on in the background, tone in and out, whatever you want to do. Hell, maybe clean the house before your wife gets home. But all that said, I do have something I want to talk to you about, Pat.
Really?
I wanted to talk about professionals who maybe just aren't that professional. And when you are a customer of theirs, you don't know enough to determine whether or not they're a professional at it.
Because they might just be a talker.
Exactly. And I'm talking about this in a very specific context. You know all about my Southwest debacle. We've spoken about it on the podcast, and how I got my stupid ass, lame old man injury with my shoulder.
Yeah.
I've been going to physical therapy for it for several weeks now. I mean, more than several weeks. Probably, I think I'm on my 6th week of going to physical therapy for it, and it's working. My strength's coming back. I'm starting to be able to do the same amount of shoulder press. I'm starting to be able to do pull-ups again. It was pretty damaged actually, which sucks.
Really?
It's such a lame injury.
Yeah.
But all I said, I'm meeting with a dude physical therapist usually. And this dude physical therapist, he's a nice guy. Seems to know his jizz. Wow. I almost said jizz. I meant to say shiz. Seems to know his jizz. That is Guatemalan. No. Okay. Sorry. That was weird. I don't know if that was funny or not. That was weird though.
That was funny to me.
Anyways, but he seems to know shit, right? He's good at conversing. It's kind of like going to the physical therapist is like getting a haircut. You can't just sit there quietly.
Right.
It's weird.
Dude,
and if you sit there quietly,
I stare dead-eyed, side tangent, when I get my hair cut, which is rarely. I stare dead eyes into the mirror, back at myself the whole time.
But you talk, right?
No.
You don't have a conversation with any of their haircutters or stylists?
I walk in.
Barbers?
I walk in. They ask me what I want, and that's it. Usually.
Sucks.
If they ask me questions, I'll I do. I tip well. I actually tip really good.
Me too.
I tip like 50%, depending on the, because it ranges, but I try to give a good tip to, I usually frequent the less, it's not high end where I'm going.
Bro, dude, can I give you the name of my barber?
Sure.
I'll give you her number and stuff. I get a free haircut if you have her come to your house and cut your hair.
Really?
Her name's Danielle.
All right.
Best barber I've ever met.
All right.
She's energetic, very enthusiastic.
So I can't just stare dead-eyed into a mirror?
I mean, you can, but she's going to think you're the weirdest.
Listen, they can. Now, here's, I guess, if it's
in your own home.
That's different, And
dude,
also,
I love it, bro. I tip her, I pay her $40 and then I give her a $20 tip for driving to my house. Essentially, I text her and she's available the next day for me. And she's busy. I know she's got a big clientele, but she's always made time for me.
I like it. But anyways, what were we talking about?
The professionals who aren't good at their
yes, and
but you're not educated, so you don't know if you can tell them, or you don't know if they're good or bad or what.
Right.
But anyways, PT, physical therapist, great guy, good at conversing. I'm laying my back. He's manhandling my shoulder, like really getting there with his fingers. It's like, it's not gay, dude. It's not gay. It's a little okay. Rather a woman massaging my shoulders, but that's all right. But he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
And then he wasn't available one day, so they moved me over because they were short-staffed to this lady physical therapist. Your tobacco just... It's like it combined with my spit and I choked on it. Lady physical therapist, I'll paint you a picture. She's pretty tan. Very, very tan. Very energetic, high strung, probably like 5'6" to 5'4". CrossFit. Mm-hmm. Like she's the most typical like mom that does CrossFit, but really does and like can probably outrun, do a triathlon and smoke most guys.
Yeah. And the pull-ups. Endless,
probably.
I mean, she big old shoulders.
She reminds me of my grandmother, and the way that like they both look like if they were wet, they'd weigh 100 pounds. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like she doesn't look like a grandma, right? Like she's a mom, but not like old. Mm-hmm. But she just is so little. But dude, she's a big believer in dry needling. And I'm like, I don't know what dry needling is. That sounds kind of Eastern. She's like, no. We're electrical stimulus through the needle in the muscle tissue to this metal rod that you hold in your hand. I'm like, why can't I have stickers and an electrical machine at home that I do that with? Isn't that the same thing? And she's like, no, that's more for recovery.
Like the TENS unit, right?
That doesn't, yeah. And I'm like, okay, well.
It's like it doesn't penetrate.
And she's like, take off your shirt. We're gonna try it today. And I was like, okay, I'm not wearing anything under this. Like, I'd prefer to wear something because it's not like we go to a closed door and it's like a small room where she just like puts the needles in and does it, and there's not other people around. Like, there's people I know there at that clinic. Like, I got referred to that clinic by a lady from our church who's a physical therapist there, and I'm just like, look, man, I'm not trying to make her stumble. I'm not trying to be shirtless and have her
with all your business out.
Exactly, right? I'm not trying to have her be looking at a married man and glancing. You know what I mean? Glancing at my thinly haired nipples. I'm fucking squeaky clean, dude. I don't have hair anywhere other than my legs and my head.
That's hilarious.
I have such a hairy beard, but my chest and my back are like squeaky clean other than around my nipples. There's like a rim of black hair.
Just white, black on white.
Exactly, dude. But anyways, I'm just like, I'm not taking my shirt off. I'll wear a tank top next time. We can do it next time.
Yeah.
And she's like, all right. But like, dude, there's like, so she starts, like she's holding my arm and massaging with one hand while she's moving my arm.
Mm-hmm.
But then she like does these like short jerks.
Yeah. Like on the injured arm.
Yeah, but not like to the point where it feels like she's trying to hurt me, right?
Okay.
Or anything like that. But it's like short jerks. And then she like moves to my neck. She's like, pretty stiff, pretty tight. And she like moves to my head and starts like lifting my head up. And I'm trying to be relaxed. Like, you know, let her carry all the weight of my head.
Mm-hmm.
And then she like does like a quick jerk to the side, quick jerk back. I'm like, I think she's trying to do like the chiropractic thing and pop stuff and like loosen me up. And it's not happening. She just keeps on going. She keeps muttering. She's like, pretty. And like, I'm just like, I don't think this knows what she does. Like, because nothing pops.
Right.
Nothing pops. And I'm like, I pop like, you know.
Yeah.
I got one side. My left side's a little bit poppier.
Yeah.
But and I'm just like, what's going on here? And then next time I go, don't get me wrong, she's got great exercises for the shoulder. And like, it's made my shoulder feel great. Shoulder's feeling like it's recovering for sure.
Yeah.
But then I got paired up with her again. She did the dry needling thing, and it went fine. It, like,
what
ached.
What are the needles?
Bro, the needles are solid.
They go in you?
Yeah, they're thinner. And what the
into like the skin.
It's so rather than like a hollow needle, like a liquid needle, which is to administer or draw liquid.
Right.
The needle is a solid piece of metal,
but
it's usually thinner, and they put it into the muscle, and then they have you hold like a metal rod that's connected with a wire to a machine, and then that's connected to the pad with the needle, and it makes the current go through and twitch the muscle.
Yeah.
It's a bitch because it like there's times where like they're like the physical therapist is like, they put the needle in and then their hands on the other side and they're trying to really worm the needle into the muscle to make sure it's going to stimulate it and make it contract and expand. And the first time, I mean, she put it into my trap above my shoulder, and I was like, oh shit. And I really went like, you know, like, and then like a little neck twitch. And then she moved it into my armpit. Like on this, like, you know, I don't know the muscles, but it's like that tendon that goes from the back of your shoulder up across like to your tricep bicep. It's that like stringy, tight, ropey armpit webbing.
Yeah.
And that hurt like a bitch.
Yeah.
And like, but I was like, okay, you know, whatever. Maybe, I mean, she said it ache. And
does it bleed when they take it out?
I don't know. I can't see my back.
Yeah.
But I mean, I do workouts afterwards.
Yeah.
Like they do that first and then they massage it and then they have me do workouts.
Right.
But dude, today, man, like she put it into my trap and then only for like maybe a minute. And then she put it into like 2 or 3 other spots. Nothing happened. Nothing twitched. There was like an electric tingling I had in my nerves, but nothing twitched. And she said, that's unusual. Kind of moving around. I was like, and I'm just starting to think in my head, I'm like, look, I'm not a doctor. And I know this woman is. This woman had to go to like essentially a like physical therapy medical school. She has a doctorate in this.
Right.
To practice it. So she's clearly more educated than I am. Smoke break.
Smoke break.
Hey, Ken, it's Mick, and I've got something important to talk about. We all hope we never find ourselves in a self-defense situation, but life's unpredictable. Enter the National Self-Protection Plan from Attorneys on Retainer, an actual credible law firm you can put on retainer for your self-defense needs. For just $35 a month, you get national coverage in all 50 states for criminal and civil legal representation in self-defense situations, complete with a 24/7, 365 toll-free emergency line. That's real legal support when you need it most. What's in the package? Bail bonds, scene cleanup, firearm replacement, even mental health counseling. Plus, 0 fees for a laundry list of defense-related costs like expert witnesses. So support the show and get yourself some peace of mind. Click the link in our show notes or visit our sponsors page to sign up for the National Self-Protection Plan from Attorneys on Retainer.
Hey folks, Pat here. If you're like Mick and I, you're a fan of classic tales like Lonesome Dove, Blood Meridian, The Three-Body Problem, and Steinbeck's East of Eden. With Audible, you can dive into these epic stories anytime, anywhere. Sign up for a free month, and your first audiobook is on the house. To start your free trial and support our show, click the link in the show notes or swing by the sponsors page on our website.
Want an awesome website for your podcast? Check out Podpage. We use it for the Mick Pat show, and it's a game changer. Set it up in minutes, no coding needed. Support the show by using our link to get started. Your podcast deserves a home as great as ours. Podpage, the one-stop solution.
But Pat, when you're sitting there and you hear them saying that and like the shit's not happening that they're supposed to be doing, you kind of start asking yourself like, do they know what the they're doing?
Yep.
And that's really where I got to, dude. That's where I got to.
Especially with medical stuff where it's like, they're just messing with important stuff. Like when you said they were trying to do the neck popping, it's like, you better know, man. You're out to Jason Bourne, my freaking, just like Delta Squad my neck.
Yeah. It was weird, dude. She's like holding my chin, like with left hand, and then like, tilting my head up with her right. She's like, yeah, just wrote it, loosen it up. And like she's not talking loud enough for me to understand. Like she's talking to herself, and she's like, oh, is it? And I'm just like, what the fuck? Like in my head, I'm trying to keep my face straight because I'm not trying to read, like, let emotion read to her be like, oh, he's questioning me at this point in his head.
At what point? Well, because in these situations, at what point are you supposed to speak up?
Never. She's holding my mouth closed.
But like in the medical stuff, like when things are going wrong, like you could. It's just like, something could go wrong. You could die. You could get injured, whatever it might be. And like, for instance, I had a teacher once who her son was getting leg surgery. And it was like on his, I think it was on his knee, getting his knee reconstructed. And the doctor comes in and is drawing out like on the Sharpie, they Sharpie out all the stuff they're going to do.
Here's what we're going to do.
Xing out here. And they actually draw it out for themselves to out where they're going to make incisions to go in laparoscopically, whatever. And then she comes in. She's like, hey, can I see my son before you put him under? And she goes in there and, oh no, actually he was under. The son was already under. And they're drawing out and she goes in there and she's like, hey, doc. That's the wrong leg.
Oh,
yeah. So like, and they were about to do it to it. Like they were about to chop up his perfectly good knee and not fix his bad one, dude. I know. So it's like, thank God she, mistakes happen, stuff happens, like whatever. But at the same time, though, like if you take that job on, it's big time, and
it's not forgetting to grab one person's trash on the block. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
It's not like it's not a hunch your shoulders and like, oh, that was close. Like, and I know some people in the medical field
filing someone's taxes incorrectly.
No, but like some
chopping
people
their knee up.
I know some people in the medical field who like that's their response is like, hey, what the you do? You see so many people a day. You're kind of tired because you've been working since 5 a.m. Yada yada, bing bang, bing bong. I'm like, okay, look, dude, maybe you shouldn't be in this field. Like, have you ever thought that maybe you're just not a good doctor? Like the fact that this probably isn't the first time you've made the mix-up mistake. It might be just the first time you've been caught.
Yep.
And the fact that we can't sue you.
Yep. Like
the fact that literally I can't sue you if you operate on the wrong leg and it caused permanent damage. It's just like, I don't know. It's the same feeling I feel about law enforcement, right? Part of the reason why like I feel like I left law enforcement was because I just like I was in it and I was like, I don't enjoy this enough to mentally accept that I might f up.
Right.
Like some guys are in it and they're just like, dude, you know what? I make a f up every day. And like those guys, honestly, like I've met a lot of them, great cops, and their f ups really aren't that big of a deal at all. Like, it's essentially just like a miscalculation and trying to plan out what's going to happen in the situation. And then things don't go according to plan and you have to adapt, right? But dude, there's a lot of guys that eventually get kicked out. Some of them, unfortunately, don't get kicked out because of how short-staffed everyone is. But a lot of those guys just suck. And like they're too arrogant, or they're just honestly don't have the kind of like emotional intelligence to recognize the areas they lack in.
Yeah.
And they just accept, like, they just make these mistakes that are honestly going to probably cost someone's life one day. I mean, just like the guys that, I'm not talking about guys who are going to abuse of power, but I'm just talking like guys who just aren't thinking through a situation and they're going to grab their gun instead of their taser.
Right.
And like, I just remember being in that situation. Not that situation, but I just remember being in law enforcement. I was like, you know, I haven't made a huge up yet, but I genuinely think like I don't enjoy this job enough to accept that if I made that up, I could let it be water off the duck's back. Like I think I'd be pretty messed up. I can say right now, this isn't worth, like, I don't enjoy this enough to stick with it with the, you know, acknowledgement of like, I might up one day and it might really hurt someone. And I have to live with that. And some people, dude, like some people just like, whether they're being a doctor, paramedic, nurse, firefighter, police officer, military, whatever it may be, they just like get up and they're like, you know what, I might up today, but like, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like happens, I guess, right? And it's like, no, dude, you cut the wrong ACL.
Yeah.
That kid was on a full ride to, you know, Notre Dame to play ball, and you ruined it. Because now he needs to have both legs recover. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, and it's just like, it's some, I just don't like, I get like some people are like, well, you know what, to really succeed in this job, in this career field, you got to roll with the punches. I'm like, unless you're the one causing the punches, maybe get out, dude. Maybe don't be in it. Sorry, that's a rant.
No, yeah.
I've just met people who, like, I met someone who had actual surgical materials left in them.
Yeah.
And was found on X-ray. I'm not talking like a scalpel like you hear in the horror stories, but just like it was literally a pair of tweezers that was like left in their arm. And I was just like, dude, what the, you should be able to sue over that. That's fucking so negligent.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think about this too, like going to the doctor as a kid was never scary for me. Now it's scary for me because in like, you know,
you're afraid they're gonna up or because you're old?
Because as a kid, like you go to the dentist and whatever, they're going to pull a tooth, or you go to a doctor and they're going to, like, you know, if you're doing a little minor surgery or procedure or whatever, they're a doctor, they're a dentist. They can't mess up. It's just like, as a kid, they are
infallible.
Yeah. That's what they are. Their complete existence is that they are a doctor. They live here. This is what they do.
They don't go to the grocery store.
They don't go through divorces.
No. That was dark.
They don't show up hungover. They don't maybe get drunk on the job. They don't have substance abuse. They don't.
As a kid, who are you comparing them to?
No.
So who do you know that does this?
Right. So no, what I'm saying is, as a kid, that's you don't. You just think of him as a doctor.
Yeah.
Now, as you get older, you go sit down, and the anesthesiologist is about to put you under, and he's kind of like the same age as you.
Good.
And he kind of reminds you of, like, he kind of looks like that other kid from like high school who was a little piece of crap, or for that kid from like in your like college class who like he got straight A's and you didn't, but that's because he got straight A's because he was like one of those kids who always showed up and like schmoozed the notes off of like the girls.
Yeah, because he was paying for whatever that website was.
Yeah, and so and that's the guy. Now you're thinking in the back of your mind, you're like, oh, that's the guy who's about to pump drugs into me that could turn the lights out forever. Well, it just gets more stressful as for me as an adult when I've had to go through these things.
Whenever, so I've gotten surgery a decent amount of times. I remember something my grandma told me, and she meant like all good intentions with it, but she's had surgery quite a bit too. And she's like, honey, whatever you do, always ask, like if like what their name is written down on the paperwork when they come in to give you any kind of drug.
Yeah.
Because they're supposed to. I mean, my grandma was a nurse back in the heyday of nursing, when it was kind of like you learn on the job. You're trained by a doctor as a nurse. There wasn't really nursing school, right?
It wasn't women doctors. Like
exactly.
Like, you know.
Not that that's a bad thing, but like that was what it was, right? There was only men doctors, and then there was female nurses. There was no male nurses either.
Right.
And then my mom was a nurse all her life and got her master's in it. But, you know, in nursing school, you're and like as a doctor, you're trained to say the patient's name when you walk in.
Yeah.
Like, hey, Mr. Shane, or hey, Mr. Thomas, or hey, Mr. Carl.
Yeah.
And you know, you're just, that's what they're supposed to do. And my grandma was like, whatever you do, like always make sure they got the right name on the paperwork. Cause like as a nurse, they mix that up.
When I was in the hospital for a week, there was a kid who had the same first name as me and another kid who had the same last name as me.
Pat Dickelschmartz?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Alley ooped on that one, dog. You set me up.
And the kid who had the first name, Dickelschmartz, he got bullied a lot. But so yeah, I mean, you could see where you could mess it up, where as a nurse or a doctor, you're walking in that day and you've got like 4 of the same name to kind of shuffle around and make sure you're giving the right medicines to, and not exposed to the wrong things. Because the people in there, we had opposite issues going on. So it's like you wanted to, it wouldn't be good to give the wrong guy the wrong medicine.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and it's scary, like when you hear the stats of how often that happens. But I'm curious, Pat. So, like, you've worked in a field where you are someone. Usually, the people you're going to help out don't have the slightest clue how to do what you're doing.
Right.
Have you ever mixed things up, or like like have you ever made like the big uh-ohs? Like the big uh-ohs that like you recognize, like, I should know better than this. I made that mistake. That's on me.
Yes. So I think that the first thing that comes to mind is like, there was this one instance where I went to a house to install a radon system, and new houses basically have like half the system put in. And it costs, and then old houses have to have a full system put in. So new houses just need the fan. Old houses need the full system. And if you just put the fan, to just put the fan in is about a third the price of the whole. To get the full system put in. So I went to a guy's house, and now granted, this is, I don't know whose fault this was as the professional. So here's how it played out. I go there and I say, hey, there was a time when it became code to put in these partial systems. And so there was a window of time in there where some places had them, some places didn't. And so, when I first went there, I was like, hey, do you have this partial system in here? You know? And he's like, no, we don't have it. We don't have one of those. We need the full system. I'm like, okay. And I didn't even check. So I then just went and bid the job for the full system. Got done putting the whole system in, walk in a different closet in a different room, and
there's the full system.
The partial system was in there.
Oh, partial system, yeah.
And so, long story short of that, it was like, that guy paid $1,500 instead of $500. So now
you did the work.
It's weird. It's weird because I asked him if he had the system, and he was like, definitely not. We definitely don't. He said, we definitely don't have one of those. So I didn't go check for it. But being the professional who knows better, I probably should have gone and double checked that they didn't have one.
Yeah.
Because one, while I would have made less money, it also takes me 1/10 the amount of time to do it. So I get more time back in my life, save that person money, you know. And so anyways, that's one that comes to mind where there's a couple things that play there where you have one, as the homeowner was ignorant to what was actually going on, and me as a professional could have helped them if I, just say, hey, I'm you guys, you may be right. You probably don't have one, but this house was built at a time when you might have a one of these systems in here. And, so since then I've learned, now it's like, if someone's like, I don't think we do. I'm like, well, I'll double check for you just to make sure, cause if you do, it could save you some money. So, there's things like that, or, I've, trying to think if I had an employee, like drill through a gas line once.
Oh, good Lord.
And like, once again, funny thing, like, so the gas line gets punched through, and all he was doing was hanging, in a closet. He was hanging, just hanging up shelves in a closet, bedroom closet, but it was an addition to the home. And the guy who had done this addition kind of didn't do it right. And it was kind of janky. And he just like slapped an addition on the outside of the house without moving the gas line or marking it or protecting it. It's like, if you were, putting in a shelf in your closet, you wouldn't expect to like run through a gas line. You just like, put a drywall anchor in, right? And it's fine. But this gas line was running right through there, and it was the drywall had just been finished and painted, and the house is filling with gas, So it's like, those sorts of instances, those things come up, but those things happen, where it was negligent on our part to not like, go, all right, this is a remodel, this is an addition, let's double check before we drill. But fortunately, as far as a big no, like, I can't think of any like catastrophic things I've done to someone's house
that's good.
Because luckily most of the things I do, I can't like ruin their home. But, I think that there is, going back to that first story, I think there is a burden of responsibility on professionals to help, their customer, even if their customer thinks they know. And sometimes to actually also like listen to the customer, because sometimes the customer does know better. Like I'll have like, a guy who's like a DIYer, like a guy who's pretty handy, works on his house a lot, but just doesn't want to do this project himself, and he's like, hey, you really need to look out for this. When I've been working in here, this is kind of how, we approach a job in this part of the house, because there's a water line here or whatever. And like, and so instead of just being like, you don't know anything, I'm the professional. It's like worth listening to your customer too.
Yeah. That makes sense. Dude, I was looking up a celebrity set like net worths, and reminded me of this project I did when I was doing my capstone stuff for data science. And I essentially was ranking people off of how much money they had, and if it was enough money to destroy the world. And it was off of essentially if their money could like buy them an asteroid that was like the size of the one that killed the dinosaurs. So get this, right? I took the density of asteroids per like square foot, and I calculated it. And then I took the density of pennies and calculated that to figure out how many pennies it would take to equate the the density of the asteroid that wiped out the dinosaurs. And I kind of want to play a game with you of like what you think the minimum amount of money needed
to have enough pennies to make an
asteroid that would annihilate all life on Earth.
Right. And I guess this is the asteroid's at point of impact because it's a lot bigger coming in.
I calculated it with like the same velocity the other asteroid, like the KT asteroid had.
Right. At point of when it hits, not when it comes into the atmosphere. Right. How big they were assuming this projectile was when it.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know why I'm asking that. Like I know any different. Because I'm wondering if it's astronomical or if it's just like astoundingly achievable.
It's uncomfortable.
It's like you need like 40 grand or whatever. No, I'm going with $1 million.
It's more. $1 million is not enough in pennies to wipe out all life on Earth.
All right.
I would say $1 million in pennies is enough to wipe out like a city.
A city.
Or a city, maybe to a state.
Okay.
Depending on the state size.
Okay. So.
Like $1 million in pennies could annihilate everyone in Rhode Island.
Okay. So do you need like our national debt worth of pennies?
No. Trillion? Like
yeah.
24 trillion or whatever? No.
See, here's the problem with my pea brain. I know there's a difference between $1 million and $1 trillion. But once you start there's a certain size of number out there that I just have trouble starting to, conceptualize.
Well, that's what this whole thing was. I was doing it to contextualize first the amount of wealth that people had, and to put that number into an amount that is terrifying, but also like comprehensible in regards to like what we have education wise. So, I'll say this: it's uncomfortable how many people have this amount of money.
$1 billion, a billionaire.
$1 billion in pennies.
$1 billion.
$1 billion in pennies will give you essentially almost exactly the amount needed to have something with the surface area and the density to be a cataclysmic extinction level event.
Wow.
Isn't that nuts, dude?
Yeah.
Like $1 billion would give you an asteroid that annihilates all life on Earth.
Wow. Is a penny the heaviest?
No, I just used pennies because it's.
You see, it's quantity wise there. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean that's that's maybe gosh, I wonder how many people have $1 billion. I don't know off the top of my head. Craig, pull that shit up.
How many billionaires are there in the world?
Dude, hey, I was going to say this too.
I'm
starting to think Craig has a little bit of a favoritism going on parent-wise because I don't think you speak down to Craig enough. I think his favorite. I mean, I know he likes you more.
See, it's all about the good cop, bad cop, and the way that the psyops is important because you got to keep your friends close and your enemies closer. So when it comes to old Craigie, I think that we want him to stay around. We need him to keep on being our doing the tasks we don't want to do and all that. So I'm carrying that weight.
Are you saying that should I be nicer?
No, because he needs to know his place.
That's right.
But I'm just saying that I have a role.
Right, you do.
I have a role to play, and that is the confidant, the companion.
Just got it sent over. It's a little over 3,000.
3,000 billionaires.
Like 3,300.
Wow.
That's scary.
In the world or in America?
In the world.
All right.
That have like 3,300 people, if we converted their wealth to pennies, could wipe out the Earth's population.
Wow.
That's not even including like the people who have more than $1 billion.
Yeah.
Like how many times they could wipe it out over and over and over.
Multiple
and over.
billions of billions and billions of pennies into asteroids.
Yeah, dude. Blows my mind. Honestly blows my mind.
That's wild.
Anywho, I just thought that was a fun side tangent.
When did you do that? That was in college?
No, that was post-college. That was when I
Post-college.
switched from law enforcement to data science.
Yes, to data. To becoming a quant.
Becoming a quant, dude. Tell you what, one thing I've been looking into a lot lately, sports betting.
Yeah.
There's algorithms for it, dude. Like, you can essentially do it risk-free if you just are smart enough and you know how to do a little bit of maths.
Really?
Yeah. It's called arbitrage betting.
Is it legal?
I mean, it is, but like, it is legal. What's illegal is that when you succeed at arbitrage betting, you will get banned from betting platforms. Like they put cookies on your web browsers and all that to figure out what other sites you're going to, and they track it to see. Like essentially, the idea is like So we have. You know, I'm gonna get into the analyses here, right?
Mm-hmm.
There is sports betting website A and sports betting website B. And essentially A gives you odds on that are better than B's on this side, but B gives you better odds on the other side. And essentially you can do an equation to what amount to bet on each with any kind of given, monetary amount. And no matter what happens, you make money. Now, you don't make a ton of money. It's not like an insane return, but it's a return where you don't lose money. And people do it essentially rather than just investing in stocks. They do it and they collect like 1 to 7% off of each bet. And I've been getting into it, man. I've like, it's exciting and it's it's risk free as long as you're smart and make sure you're doing the equations to calculate the right amount.
As long as you don't develop a habit.
No, that's the thing. It is a habit. You use it as an investing resource and tax deduction. But
how much is betting taxed?
I don't know the exact rate because I haven't ever really gotten into betting. Like all this, I'm just doing research at this point, right? But you get when you win a bet, you get a tax document because it's a gambling document.
Yeah,
and it's the same thing as if you won playing craps at a casino. And that document tells you here's the amount of taxes you have to pay on what you've won. What the IRS, because they give the document as well. Like they give you a copy, but they give a copy of it to the IRS every year.
Right. And
so you can't scapegoat that, but it is tax deductible. Your losses from gambling. So if you make a loss, you get to deduct that from your taxes over the year. And there's a strategy to it, to essentially offsetting taxes. If you win money and then you put that money in things that are non-taxed, like 401ks or HSAs or stuff like that, IRAs, then essentially you can kind of report that money went into those and you don't get taxed on it. So it's all, there's methods to the madness.
Yeah.
You ever do a sports bet ever? Like bet on a fight, bet on football, bet on horses, anything like that?
I got one of the sports betting apps for one game where they're bet $50 and guaranteed back or something, whatever, something. And I just I did it. I won. Then I had $100 in there. Then I tried to make some bets and I just kind of lost it all. And I didn't put anything else back into it,
Dude, there's this guy that I don't know him personally, but I know him through a friend. And he was a roommate with this friend for a while, and he makes $100,000 to $300,000 a year doing sports betting.
Oh my god!
And particularly fantasy football. And his day job was being a pizza delivery driver.
Oh my gosh!
He went to college, doesn't work in that field at all. He just delivers pizzas for the sake of having something to freaking do. But the rest of the time, he's just on spreadsheets doing his fantasy football league stuff. and he makes 100 to 300K a year on it, dude. Yes, I mean, he loses money sometimes, but most of the time he's making buku dollars.
That's insane. I'm quitting my job. I'm becoming a pizza delivery driver.
I don't know if that's the lesson. I think the lesson is to figure out the algorithm for sports betting and then just do something on the side to occupy yourself.
Yeah.
Light that mic on fire, dog. Better be careful.
What was it? Fire? What happened?
Oh, man, you just blew smoke into it.
Yeah, but I did it again and it didn't work.
No, do it again. It will work. Huh.
Now, it's going now. Huh. Well, I was just surprised.
Anyways.
So the I've been thinking about the upcoming things we want to do on this show.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Me too.
And I think someday we'll get our schedule together with some other folks and get it moved forward. I think that time's probably coming soon.
Things are lining up.
Mm-hmm.
The ball's rolling up the hill, man.
Mm-hmm. So, we've got a big number of different topics that we want to, cover and get into and dive into and basically explore in small series. And we want to do series on stuff that we think will be beneficial to folks.
Yeah.
Or interesting or entertaining or all of the above. And the main thing is just deciding which one to do first.
Yeah. Oh, well, also just like getting people who want to come on synchronized.
Yeah. That's one thing I think might be hard is like we may have to like be recording a couple different categories at one time. And then they'll have to come out like one that got recorded before has to come out way later when that series comes out. So anyways, I think that's coming.
I think so too. I agree. I see it on the horizon and things are just lining up. We got other rooms rented for other content creators in this studio.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, essentially like overhead for this podcast is being paid for by other people.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
Kind of.
No, yeah. Yeah, the place has been getting rented out, so we're I think we're breaking even this month on the whole place.
I got some marketing things in the pipeline that are being worked on, but can't really force them to be faster.
Oh yeah.
And I'm excited about those.
Merch
Stuff.
Gotta have merch. Are you even real if you don't have merch?
I don't know, man. It seems like that's the mode. I've been researching some content creators and the way they all do merch together through like a single platform. You ever hear of Bunker Branding?
No.
Bunker Branding is like got something like I want to say 40 content creators on it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's where all their merch is sold.
Mm.
And it's just like the portal that they have all their merch on. I just wonder, like, I mean, I was looking into like they have minimums of like 500,000 YouTube subscribers to have their merch hosted on the site or something like that, right? And I was just like, I wonder if any of these guys even do any of their own designs, or if it's all Bunker Branding that just makes the designs for them and it says like, hey, here's your new shirt.
Yeah.
Wear it and then advertise it and it's available.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, it's probably the way that's most likely set up is that Bunker Branding probably even approaches these groups and is like, hey, we will make all your merch for you.
Yeah.
We'll box it up and sell it. We'll help you design it. All you have to do is tell people that they
can get it through
you. And then I haven't looked into this company, but assuming that that's probably how they set it up, and then that company makes money by selling it. They take a little piece, and then they send a percentage to the creators.
Yeah. It's all an enigma to us at this point. But we're getting into it, man.
This is true.
We got the content that's building up.
In the short term, I think there will be a Patreon type thing coming soon that people can
website.
A website and a platform where you can, if you enjoy the show, want to support the show, you can do that by there's a couple different platforms out there. We haven't settled on which one we're going to use yet, but that's coming. And then we'd like to someday, we've talked about having exclusive content. That'd be coming down the line.
Yeah, we got things in the pipe.
Yeah. Some fun things. And then, initially that something like our Patreon will be just for, you'll get nothing extra necessarily right away, but we want to start bringing you extra things eventually.
Yeah.
So, but as we grow and as we, that's kind of the first place where we can start gaining support. But the easiest thing we can have people do is go leave some reviews for us.
Yep.
It actually really helps the
algorithm
podcast.
Gods.
Yeah, it does help the algorithm gods. So if you're listening, all of you out there in the Philippines,
exactly,
Yugoslavian,
have you been sending anything out?
You lone Ukrainian, give them hell.
One guy, yeah.
And get on there and write us a review.
I've noticed when I look at our metrics, we have a more consistent number. I was wondering if you've been pushing anything. No?
No.
Because I haven't sent anything out in a while to like the email list of folks that we were pushing stuff out to.
No.
And I was just, because I was like looking at it, I was like,
Kind of to climb back up a little.
Not necessarily climb back up a little, but it's just like a consistent amount of views on each episode that I'm like, it's more than just, it's not just the amount of times you and I listen to it, right? But it's like a good amount of times like people are out there download it, and I'm just like, I guess like we kind of have our first batch of like weekly listeners listening to everything. So that's cool.
Yeah.
And we're learning all about the marketing stuff and like growing our listenership and like the algorithm of like how it comes up on Google and all that. And honestly, I feel like part of the value in our podcast will probably be to other people who want to do a podcast. Because I feel like we've been pretty transparent with the process so far. And like, there's things we want to try. And as we try them, we can definitely like share with our listeners of like what works, what doesn't, what to not spend money on, But I think we're kind of approaching that horizon of stepping out into endeavors of investment into like marketing and stuff like that for the show.
We're going to have to get on some dreaded social media platforms.
Gosh, dude, I just don't want to.
I don't want to either, but I think it's like the only way. It's one of the only ways.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think like making things available on like YouTube especially.
Yep.
Is like a big one. And like part of me is just waiting for like our marketing materials to come in before we throw stuff up there. Because it just seems like it makes sense. But yeah, I think it's really odd. So like I have like a little thing I'm doing on the side where I'm making like, I talked to you about this, but like I'm making like custom little video game edits to be like cinematic and stuff. And I was experimenting, just using that to like try to figure out like how YouTube Shorts really reaches demographics and stuff like that. Bro, it was odd, man. Like I made a 1 minute clip from a full video, and within a minute of posting it,
300,
it had over 1,000 views.
Oh yeah.
And it kept on going, and then it stopped. Hasn't been any movement on it since.
Yep.
I'm just like,
yep.
So how do the Shorts algorithm work, dog?
They basically, as far as I understand it, they do blast it out there, like kinda, like it does get that all of us like they show it to people, and like if it's getting any likes or comments and stuff, then it'll keep going. And depending on how many subscribers you have and how many other views you have, it'll push it harder. But yeah, it's funny because I did that. It's funny because platforms are so different. Where it's like on TikTok, like you can get tons and tons of views. And for instance, like Instagram video, if you get like 100 views, that's the same thing on TikTok as getting like 5,000 views.
Yeah.
Like as far as your actual engagement of people, because it's just rolling through people's stuff. And so on shorts, I don't know, but
it's weird.
Mm-hmm.
It's all weird. And hopefully we got, as we learn, we'll have valuable stuff to pass on to other people who want to endeavor in it. Because I just don't think like of the super successful podcasts that like I listen to, there's not many. I can't think of one that has had an episode of just like, hey, here's how we do our
oh yeah,
and here's a little mini series on how we made this thing a brand and made it go from nothing to something.
Right.
And like there's straight up just podcasts in YouTube channels that are entirely just devoted to how to grow your podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Only issue is like there's so many of them and no one's listening to them. But Joe Rogan's never had an episode where he's just like, yeah, so here's how I just took the to the next level. Crime Junkies, they've never had an episode where they're like, hey, this time we're actually not going to talk about like a crime case. We're going to talk about how we run this thing and got it to the point it is.
Mm-hmm.
And all that said, like, I just think there's a lot of value there.
Mm-hmm.
Not to make a whole podcast, premise
Centered
about
around it.
Yeah, but like to
maybe
have like
series
a
on
couple episodes, maybe a series where you just like let people call in and ask, you give them answers. That's one thing I do really want to get around to is having a call-in line, which is pretty easy to set up. I was looking into it of just like having like a live chat call-in and let people call in, just like
we
throw it out to the Twitchers.
We have the capability.
We do.
I tested it yesterday.
Nice. I feel like it'd be fun.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be easy, and that's an easy way to have like guest, I guess.
Yep. And if for there might be a reality to like we want to get people in the studio because it's fun, and I think that's how you get best conversation.
Yeah.
But if schedules just aren't working out or whatever,
throw that hotline.
Yep. Throw them on the hotline.
Ask questions.
Yeah.
All that said, those of you who are with us, listening in, appreciate you. Please give reviews on our content. Send us emails. Reach out to us. Our information's out there to contact us. Let us know your thoughts, what you want to hear, what you want to listen to. Once we get other platforms up and going, like it'll be a lot easier to get feedback on.
Mm-hmm.
And one day, this will be an old episode. People listen to it and be like, what the They didn't have a YouTube channel at one point? Well, Ken, appreciate you listening. We value you all, family. Take care of each other out there. And until next time.
Thanks for tuning in. If you love this episode, drop us a review. If you have qualms or comments, leave us a voicemail on our website. While you're there, check out our latest news, merch, and deals from our sponsors. Till next time, Ken.